All right, everybody, welcome back here. Brian Reese, the VA Claims Insider. And welcome again to VA Claims Insider Mastery. This is lesson 3. So again, we're in a module 1, the strategy. And this is lesson 3. And I was thinking about what would be a appropriate title for this, based on what I'm doing and based on how I'm setting you guys up for success. And I came up with this. Some secret tips and strategies for how you can beat the VA at its own game. All right, I want you to think about this. It reminds me a little bit about Sun Tzu, one of the great military leaders of all time. Know thy enemy, know thyself. Right? If you know the enemy, you'll not lose in 1,000 battles. And that's so true with this process as well. Is you've got to get inside the VA. You've got to think like the VA raters and like those folks on the other side who are evaluating your claim. That's you're evaluating the evidence, okay? So if you can think like them, if you can get inside the process and understand what needs to be done and what they're looking for, you can set yourself up for success, okay? So in this lesson, we're going to beat the VA at its own game, and I'm going to show you exactly how you do that, okay? So secret number 1 with this, how you beat the VA, is you've got to arm yourself with information, okay? Kind of like I just described a little bit there. If you're going to be successful, all right? And what I mean when I say successful is filing a winning VA disability claim where you get the exact rating you should have. Nothing more, nothing less, just the exact rating that you deserve. And in order to do that, you've got to get inside the process and understand exactly how the VA is going to review and rate your claim. All right, so information. You've heard knowledge is power. I don't believe that. Knowledge is only power when it's put into action, okay? And that's what I'm going to have you do. That's why you're in this course, is to take information, come up with your strategy, apply the tactics, and move out. Move forward, do something, take action so that you get the result. Okay, so to start on this, you need to get a deep understanding of the law that governs the various disabilities. It shocks me, guys. I speak to thousands of veterans. I travel all over the world, especially inside the United States, speaking at VFW groups, Legion groups, and it's shocking to me how few veterans actually know that there's a code of federal regulations. There's the U.S. code, which is the law. It's codified. And this is the exact guiding document that governs all disabilities. All right. And that third bullet there talks about it. Title 38, Part 4, the schedule for rating disabilities. Open up a Google browser right now and just type ECFR Title 38 Part 4. You'll see it come right up. And I recommend you use the online version of it because it's constantly updated. But what you're going to find in there is every single disability that can be rated. And what you're also going to find in there are specific criterion for how severe those disabilities have to be in order to be eligible for compensation under the law. Okay? And so I want you guys to understand, though, that if you're going to be successful at this, you have to get inside the process. You have to get inside and absolutely understand how your stuff is going to be rated, okay? And when we get to the tactics, I'm going to show you a little bit more about keywording and how all that works, okay? All right, so the expert tip associated with this one is as you're going through that source document, okay, open up a Microsoft Word file and start copying and pasting various disabilities that may pertain to you. So for example, you can go on to the source document, Title 38, Part 4. You can hit Control F. Again, that's Control F on your computer, and you can search for something. So for example, you could type sleep apnea and hit search. It's going to take you then, it's going to find those keywords of sleep apnea, and it's going to show you the exact criteria that you need to have in order to be eligible for a 50% rating or a 100% rating. So I want you to pay very close attention to that. I think you're going to be surprised as you go through it how many disabilities there are. I mean, there's literally thousands of disabilities that can be available for compensation. The key is, do you have them? Are they in a medical record? And could you get it service connected? So again, go through the whole thing. I know it's long, it's a bit painful, but I think you need to go through it so that you really get an idea of what's out there and then the law that governs how the VA is going to rate your claim. Okay. And then you've heard me talk about keywording, all right, which it guarantees a higher rating. It saves you time. It's going to get you the rating faster, which is ultimately going to mean the compensation and benefits that you deserve. Okay. So I want you to think about the keywords here just for a second. All right. I talked about sleep apnea, so I'm going to use that as an example real quick. So if you look for the diagnostic code for sleep apnea in the ECFR, you'll see that at the 50% rating, it talks about a diagnosis has been made and the veteran requires the continuous use of a breathing machine in order to help alleviate the symptoms of sleep apnea. That corresponds directly to a 50% rating under the law. Okay, so if you have sleep apnea and you have a CPAP machine or some other breathing device, you need to write in your statement in support of a claim the exact keyword, disability diagnosis, sleep apnea with CPAP requires the continuous use of a CPAP machine. And then you're going to talk about your story, when it happened, how it happened in the military. Maybe you were deployed, maybe you were exposed to burn pits overseas. And then as you start writing your personal statement, you're going to describe your symptoms. I'm tired all the time. I have insomnia. I have to take naps at work because I get so tired. Sleep apnea affects me, so horribly that I find that I've had to leave work. I've had to take increased sick days. Those are those things that you're talking about how it affects your life. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say keywording. I mean pulling out those keywords associated with the percent rating that you should have based on your disability. Okay, now when we get into the tactics section, I'm going to dive into that in detail, and I'm going to show you as well some real examples for how to do this so that you can copy it and do the exact same thing. Okay, and again, understanding this from the VA's perspective, you can help them. When I say them, I mean the VA rater and the evaluators of your claim. You can help them get to the right answer by keywording those terms and phrases. Okay. Secret number 2, prepare your claim like an expert. Right now, all right, my insider stat tracker, there's about 300,000 VA disability compensation claims in backlog. When I filed my claim back in 2012, there were millions. Okay, a lot of the Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, folks from Afghanistan, they were all coming back around the same time, filing claims, and the VA was just wickedly behind. They just couldn't catch up. They're getting better. All right, that's the good news. Is I've seen a lot of the processes improve, but it still sucks. All right, there's still a number of claims in backlog. So what I'm telling you though is you can help the VA, help yourself by helping the VA get to the right answer that you want. All right, I promise you, if you put the time in, if you put it in now, you will get the result. All right, but you have to put the time in. And just the fact, by the way, that you stepped up and you bought this course tells me that you're willing to step in. You're willing to put the time in the front end so that you can get the result on the back end. All right, so I commend you for that. All right, and on the contrary, though, if you come at this like an amateur, if you just rely on your VSO to file your claim, if you're relying on the VA raters and reps to look for information, to search, hunt for medical information at various facilities you were treated at, if you're waiting on them, the VA, to obtain medical records, you're going to fail. I promise you that. It's going to take way longer, okay? And then you're not going to get the rating you deserve. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm all about how do I get exactly what I deserve at the right time, set myself up for success, and have it come back in half the time. That's the key, is if you do this right, not only are you going to get the rating you should have, but you're going to get the result faster because the representatives are going to have everything they need to make the right decision on your claim. Okay, so here's what I recommend you do. I recommend you get some 6-part folders and make 2 copies of your entire claim package. Okay, I also think you need to have an electronic version of this filed on an external hard drive so that you never lose it if your computer crashes. But you need to have identical copies of your claim. The reason why you need to have this is stuff happens. The VA loses records and information. You'll move around throughout your life and you're going to lose certain things, or mistakenly put something somewhere and forget where it is. All right. So have copies of that handy in case you ever need to refer back to something. Trust me when I tell you this, it's extremely helpful. Now, the other thing here is you've heard me talk already about statements in support of a claim and buddy letters. You need those for every disability you're claiming. Okay, now let me give you one caveat here. If I'm filing 20 disabilities, I should have 20 statements in support of my claim for every single disability I'm claiming. All right. Now, if you're recently separated or retired from the military, you don't necessarily need a buddy letter for every disability. You do need your statement, your personal statement, but you don't need a buddy letter for everything. However, for high value claims, when I say high value claims, I'm saying any disability that has the potential to be rated at 30% or higher, you need to obtain a buddy letter from a spouse, from someone you served with, because it's going to add credibility to your statement and get you a higher rating. Okay, so a high value disability is any mental health claim. So PTSD, any other mental health claim like major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, get a buddy letter for that. Sleep apnea is also a high value claim. And I would also argue that some back issues, as well as GERD, gastroreflux disease, are also high value claims because they have the potential to be rated 30, 40, 50, 60%. Okay. So some people too, including lawyers and VSOs, I've been in verbal arguments with these folks before. They're going to say you don't need that stuff, right? Just file your medical records, and if everything is in there, you'll get the rating you deserve. Gang, I'm here to tell you they're wrong. They're wrong. There's so many claims being submitted and in backlog that I just don't understand why you would want to set yourself up that way, okay? You got to serve this thing up on a silver platter, and that's what we're doing inside of VA Claims Insider Mastery, all right? So just trust me on this. Listen to what I'm telling you. Create and write statements in support of a claim for every disability that you're claiming, okay? It's going to help the rater get to the right answer, and it's going to help them make a decision faster, okay? And of course, you've heard me talk about getting copies of your medical records. If you remember back to the very first lesson, what's the number one reason why VA disability claims get denied? Due to a lack of clear and convincing medical evidence, okay? Again, if you go in Module 2, which is the tactics, you're going to see some videos there on exactly how to get copies of all your medical records. All right. Secret 3 is recognize a problem right away. Folks, you heard me mention if you're active duty, get your butt to the doctor right away. Talk to them about everything going on. If you're already a veteran, meaning you've already separated or retired from active duty, maybe it's been even 30 years since you served, all right, you still have to go see your primary care manager or your physician at the VA and document all of your ongoing issues right away, even if you perceive them to be minor. The reason why you need to do this is because if you don't, remember I talked about the continuity of symptomatology, that legal term. You also heard me talk about lay evidence. If you haven't done this, if you haven't gone to the doctor, you haven't documented your severity of symptoms, and you're not continuing to seek treatment, when you go to file your claim or you go to file for increases, the VA is going to notice those gaps in your medical records and in your treatment history. So you've got to explain that away with buddy letters, incident reports, and medical nexus letters. Again, templates are in this course for you, so you don't have to do this from scratch, okay? Use the resources available to you. But the bottom line is this. You are going to thank me. You're going to thank your 60, 70, 80-year-old self that you did this, that you did it now, and you're documenting this stuff ongoing, because when it comes time to file for increases, you are going to get the rating you deserve, as well as the medical benefits associated with those things. All right, get your butt to the doctor. You just heard me say this, right? If you're still in the service, go and tell them everything going on with you. Nothing is too small. Hey, doc, I'm having some pain in my left heel. Hey, I'm having some erectile dysfunction. Hey, my libido's low. Hey, I'm having stomach pain. I'm having cramps. If stuff's uncomfortable too, I get that, but you have to get it out. You've got to tell the doctors so that they can be documenting the medical record as soon as possible. All right? Okay. File your claim on or right after your last day in uniform. So I want to highlight this real quick, because for transitioning service members, there's a program now where you can file 6 months out. Okay. It's good and bad why they have that. Okay. It's good in that you can potentially file your claim 6 months before you separate or retire. And then on the day that you're no longer active duty, in theory, you start receiving your disability benefits right away. On the contrary, in that final 6 months, there's a lot of medical appointments, exams, things that you need to get properly documented. Maybe you need a mental health referral. Maybe you need a sleep study. Maybe you need to schedule more time with your primary care manager. If that's the case, don't worry about doing this fast. Make sure about doing it right. Okay, so don't necessarily worry about that. But I do think you need to be ready to file the claim on or right after your last day in uniform, because it doesn't matter, gang, how long it takes the VA to determine your final disability rating. You're going to get back paid from the date of filing. This is also why it's crucial, if you're no longer active duty, if you're a veteran, to open what's called a notice of intent to file. What that does is it sets your filing date in stone. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to show you this in Module 2. You go into eBenefits and you say, all right, I'm rated 50% right now. I'm going to open up a new claim today. So you go in, you open it up, you start your claim. Boom. What that does is it sets what's called and files a notice of intent to file, which means you then have 1 year, 365 days from that date to actually finish your claim. Okay? So what that means is, let's say it takes the VA 12 months to figure it out, you're going to get back paid from your notice of intent to file date. So let's say you ended up at 100% rating. You were at 50, you get to 100%. That's a difference per month, gang, of over $2,000 tax-free. Okay? So 12 months later, when the VA finally decides it, hey, you're now 100%, you're going to get back paid $24,000 plus because your notice of intent to file date was a year earlier. Okay, so here's an example I gave you. I filed on my last day, or the day after I was out of uniform, October 27, 2012. I ended up on October 4th, 2013. This is when I first got my 90% rating, my initial filing. I got almost $22,000 there, direct deposited into my account, tax-free, because it reflected the filing date about 12 months earlier. Now, I mentioned how you can avoid my $90,000 mistake. Do the math. I just got upgraded to 100%, which is about an extra $1,200 a month from my 90% rating. So take 6 years, 7 years, however long it was there by the months, by how much I should have got if I would have done it right the first time, I lost over $90,000. Okay? I did it well, but I didn't do it perfect. I didn't exactly do it the right way, which I should have got 100% rating on October 4th, 2013. Okay, so as you go through this course, I'm teaching you everything to avoid my $90,000 mistake and to get the rating and the compensation you deserve. That's why we're here, folks. Okay, expert tip number 4, make sure you know the day, the exact date of your separation and retirement. All right, and get your stuff ready as soon as you can. Get those 6-part folders going. Start an electronic folder of all your documentation, because you need to have that stuff handy. And the other big thing here is I'm teaching you inside of VA Claims Insider Mastery to file your claim online yourself on the eBenefits website. You do not need a VSO. VSOs only file claims. I'm going to teach you how to do that in 2 minutes. It's that easy. We don't just want to file claims. We want to file winning claims, okay? And again, don't file a paper claim, because you're risking that the VA is going to lose information, that they actually received it. And again, you're not going to have much communication throughout this process if you do it that way, which is why I recommend doing it online at eBenefits. It helps you maintain control of your own claim, all right? And that's what we want to do. All right, pursue all possible theories in support of your claim. The VA, they're required by law to think about all possible ways and theories that something could be related. And the example I give here is depression and severe back pain. So the record may suggest that some of your depression is linked to the back pain. So what you could do here is you could file a secondary claim called chronic pain syndrome with depression, that your back pain has caused you to become depressed. It's caused or made worse that you're depressed, and because you can no longer do the things you used to be able to do because of your back. Loss of life, loss of enjoyment, things like that. But you need to make sure that your claim includes the theory of how your depression is linked to the service-connected lower back, okay? So just be thinking about that. Don't limit yourself to one diagnosis. Think about all possible ways that your body and your disabilities could be connected to one another, okay? The VA is super busy. Help them get to the answer that you want. And by the way, this example, chronic pain syndrome with depression, if you go down into the bonus area, you'll see the lifestyle impact claim. You need to take a look at that, go through it in detail. And actually, you know what, it's in the specialized claim section, and then there's also a part in the bonus section. But watch that video there and take notes on this high value secondary claim that you might be eligible for. Okay. And again, so on your supporting statements that you're going to write, tell your story about all of those disabilities. Okay. We'll go through that in example here in detail here in module 2. This is also where those buddy letters become so crucial. And by the way, if there's ever any doubt about medical evidence or if anything's lacking, even if you have a medical nexus letter, always get a buddy letter, 1 or 2 or 3, and ensure that they're filed any benefits with your claim. Because remember, according to case law, buddy letters, statements from credible folks like a spouse, a child, or anyone who's over 18 years of age, somebody you served with, those count as lay evidence, meaning after the fact evidence. So if any medical information is lacking, buddy letters can suffice for that. All right, never limit your claim to one diagnosis, secret 6. So I see this often where veterans start thinking about, hey, my idea of the diagnosis is this because of this. So look at this example. You don't lock yourself in for a claim for anxiety only when the evidence might suggest, you know what, you've got all the symptoms of PTSD. So maybe you want to file the claim for PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, chronic depression, major depressive disorder, and insomnia, right? Let the VA decide how they actually want to rate it. But don't limit yourself to one diagnosis. Remember to be clear here too about how a particular disability is affecting your life, okay? Here's another example I've got here. Let's say you had the shoulder surgery, that something happened in physical fitness. It's now 5 years later. The injury makes it hard to lift heavy objects, limits your ability to enjoy leisurely activities. Maybe you can't play golf anymore. You can't play recreational basketball or hockey anymore. Write those things down in your statements, okay? Here's another example for you too. This is the expert tip. Remember about like an anxiety and sleeplessness claim, you need to write a statement in support related to any and all issues. So here's what you might choose to write. Severe anxiety, depression, and PTSD caused by a combat deployment in Iraq. Okay, so look at what this statement means. You're characterizing that diagnosis under multiple situations anxiety, depression, PTSD. And you're also making the strong case right there in your personal statement that it was due to a combat deployment in Iraq. Okay, that's that service connection piece. So it's crucial. If you can help spell it out for them, you're more likely to get the rating you deserve the very first time. Number 7, the C&P exam is crucial. Okay, your compensation and pension exam day, which is the day that the VA calls you and says, hey, Johnny, hey, Stevie, hey, Jimmy, hey, Sally, you filed a claim for PTSD or an increase for PTSD. We're now going to have an evaluator look over your case and see if they can document and help shed some light on if you're telling the truth and then how severe your symptoms are. This is absolutely the most crucial day in your entire claim. You must be prepared. You must be honest and vulnerable. Tell them everything. Okay, what I tell the thousands of veterans I've coached on compensation and pension exams, if it's uncomfortable for you to say it, you're on the right track. All right, check out the bonus section here too. I have my top 10 compensation and pension exam tips here for you. Tons of great stuff there as you are preparing for these exams. I know it can be stressful. I've had them myself, and even just preparing for them, it can bring back some painful memories, and it's stressful, okay? But anyway, they're trying to determine the severity of a condition for your claim. So make sure you're prepared, read through your case file, and be ready for your C&Ps, okay? Over prepare. Oh my gosh, you've heard me talk about this a lot now, is preparation is crucial. Reread your claim multiple times. You got to go into the exam knowing the exact claim you filed for, the specific knowledge, the medical evidence you've submitted and provided for each condition that they're going to be evaluating, okay? And don't forget, though, that the C&P examiner, they're going to have access to your medical information through the VA, and so they're going to have a general idea of how you are before you even come in there on that day, okay? But the bottom line is, this is not the time to have your best day. What I tell veterans, if you're hearing my voice right now, do not have your best day, be uncomfortably vulnerable, and tell them how you are on your very worst days. If you're there for knee pain and maybe your knee's not that bad that day, that's all right, but you need to tell the doctor how you are on your very worst days, not your best days. Okay? Secret 8, make periodic requests for your treatment records. All right? I do this quarterly. What you can do, you can get them your records from My Healthy Vet. I'm going to show you that here in Module 2. But even if you're already rated and you're thinking about, hey, no, I'm already 70%. I'm good. I'm happy with that. You still need to make these periodic requests for your records because you may find that things get worse. All right, as we get older, the human body is going to break down. Situations and disabilities are going to get worse. And if you want to file for an increase, it sure is going to be helpful to have all of your medical records already with you. Again, you can document these electronically, whether you want to store them on Google Drive or Dropbox or even on a desktop. Okay, continue to make those requests. I recommend you obtain copies of your records on an annual basis. I do it quarterly, but again, you can just set up a simple filing system on your desktop. It's really easy to do, okay? If the VA denies your claim, do not appeal. Appeals are taking 5 years, folks. I don't want you to get stuck with appeals. If you do appeal, remember, you must provide new and material evidence. I'm going to show you what this means here in Module 2. Okay, if you're already under appeal and it's been less than a year, I recommend you close it, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute. You got to find out why they denied your claim. Your claim was likely denied because you didn't have enough medical evidence or they were unable to determine service connection. So think about, are you actually providing new and material evidence in your claim? Okay, guys? Again, there's templates throughout this course. If you take a look at all the different areas, the bonus sections, there's templates, exactly what you need to do, guys, to submit new evidence for statements, for buddy letters, etc. Okay? And as always, God bless. Thank you for your service and sacrifice, and I will talk to you guys very soon in the next lesson.